They say success is unfair, but that's a lie. Success isn't unfair, it's honest. It gives everything to those who've earned it and nothing to those who only talk about it. While the world scrolls, complains, and dreams of someday, a small group of people are quietly building empires in silence. They wake before the sun. They move when no one believes. They push when everyone else stops. These people aren't lucky. They're not chosen. They simply decided that average would never be enough. And that single decision, that moment of quiet defiance, is what separates the top 1% from everyone else still waiting for permission. They don't wake up inspired. They wake up committed. They don't move because they feel ready. They move because they made a decision that their life would no longer wait for approval. That's the line. That's the divide between the few who rise and the many who drift. The 1% understand something most never will. Success is not an event. It's a state of being. It's not something you find. It's something you become. It's a frequency, a rhythm, a vibration of the mind that hums quietly inside your bones long before the world ever knows your name. While everyone else is chasing comfort, they chase clarity. When most people seek praise, they seek progress. While the masses trade hours for distraction, the elite trade hours for transformation. Because they know something the 99% don't. The world doesn't reward potential, it rewards proof. You were born with the same raw material as every giant who ever lived. The same 24 hours that built empires, sparked revolutions, and reshaped history. So the question isn't, can you? The question is, will you? Because the top 1% know the truth. Greatness isn't found in talent. It's not found in luck. It's not found in opportunity. It's forged in the unseen moments of choice, when no one's watching, when the world sleeps, when comfort whispers rest, and something deeper inside you says, not yet. That's the moment the world shifts. That's where destiny bends. Thomas Edison didn't invent because he was inspired. He invented because he was convicted. Henry Ford didn't build the Model T because he saw a car. He built it because he saw a revolution in motion. Walt Disney wasn't chasing fantasy. He was creating belief itself. Every name we remember lived by the same law. First, you believe in the invisible. Then you make it visible. That's where success begins. Not in noise, not in applause, not in comfort. It begins in silence. It starts in that quiet, sobering moment when you realize the life you dream of isn't coming to find you. You have to go out and claim it. That's where transformation begins. Not when the cameras are on, not when the crowds cheer, but when you're alone with your thoughts, staring at your limits, and deciding that they don't define you anymore. That's the birth of greatness. That's the moment the world changes, not because you hoped for more, but because you became more. Most people never win because they never declare war on the enemy within. The 1% do. They fight the inner resistance, the quiet voice that whispers, "I'll do it later," and they crush that voice with action. They move before they're ready. They act with faith long before evidence appears, because they understand a truth most never learn. Motion creates belief. You don't wait for confidence to act. You act your way into confidence. Success isn't a gift. it's a responsibility. It demands that you stop negotiating with weakness and start holding yourself accountable to greatness. Discipline isn't punishment. It's the highest form of self-respect. When you honor your own word, when you keep the promises no one else will ever see, you build the one currency the top 1% trade in: trust. Trust in themselves. Trust in their process. Trust that no matter how dark the road becomes, light will always follow those who refuse to quit. The 1% don't complain about the storm. They become the storm. They know life doesn't bend to emotion. It bends to endurance. When others drown in pressure, they rise in precision. Because pressure is the forge where diamonds are made. And mediocrity? It's simply the refusal to endure the heat. Success is never convenient. It asks you to trade sleep for purpose, comfort for growth, excuses for execution. The average chase results. The elite chase mastery. And mastery always demands a price. Your old self. The version of you that hesitates, that doubts, that waits for the perfect time. It cannot walk the road to greatness. The top 1% bury that version every single day. They live by a sacred rhythm. Wake, work, reflect, grow. They're addicted not to winning, but to becoming. Because they know every moment is making them sharper or duller, stronger or weaker, closer or further. There is no neutral day in the pursuit of greatness. Look around. Most people are sleepwalking through life, scrolling, talking, wishing. They want success without sacrifice, wealth without wisdom, change without challenge. But you can't cheat the process. You can only delay the reward. Every shortcut you take steals the character you'll need to sustain success once it arrives. The top 1% know this. That's why they build slowly, intentionally, brick by brick, while everyone else is chasing the instant hit. When the world gives up, they double down. When the market crashes, they learn. When people doubt them, they stay silent, too busy executing. They don't crave validation. They crave evolution. Their compass isn't applause, it's progress. So the question isn't, what do they have that I don't? The real question is, what are they willing to do that I'm not? Because once you decide to pay that price, once you burn the bridge back to average, the world has no choice but to move for you. The 1% understand a truth the rest refuse to accept. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your standards. You can dream of success all you want, but unless you raise the standard you live by every single day, nothing in your life will ever move. Standards are invisible walls. They define what you tolerate, what you chase, and what you ultimately become. Average people talk about what they want. The elite decide what they'll never again allow. They hold themselves to a higher code, not because it's easy, but because it's sacred. When they say they'll do something, they do it. When life hits them, they don't break. They bend, they adjust, they evolve. Because they know the truth. Pain doesn't destroy you, it reveals you. Every setback is a mirror showing you who you still need to become. While the crowd complains about problems, the top 1% extract power from them. They know adversity doesn't test your dream. It trains your character to deserve it. You see, the difference between wishing for success and earning it is emotional control. The weak are driven by feelings. The strong are guided by principles. You can't control the storm, but you can always control your response. And that's where victory begins, not in the outcome, but in the reaction. The 1% move with calm precision, even when chaos surrounds them, because they've trained their mind to see order where others see panic. They've learned that success isn't about what happens to you, it's about what happens within you. When Thomas Edison failed thousands of times, he didn't see failure, he saw data. When Henry Ford was laughed out of meetings, he didn't see rejection, he saw direction. When Walt Disney went bankrupt, he didn't see an ending, he saw a beginning. Each of them lived by a timeless law. You cannot stop a person who refuses to stop believing. Belief isn't just faith, it's a weapon. It's the fire that burns through resistance, the force that turns imagination into empire. But belief without work, that's fantasy. The 1% pair belief with relentless execution. They don't wait for miracles, they make them through consistent, disciplined action. They've mastered the art of showing up, even when they're tired, even when it's boring, even when no one claps, because they know every repetition, every late night, every quiet hour in the dark is compounding into a future that will one day make perfect sense. Greatness doesn't begin with applause. It begins in silence. It begins in those quiet, lonely hours when no one is watching, when doubt echoes in your chest and you still choose to move. That's the moment the world separates the talkers from the doers, the dreamers from the builders, because everyone wants success until it costs them their comfort. The truth is simple. You will never become who you're meant to be until you let go of who you used to be. And that's the hardest war a person will ever fight, the war within. You'll question yourself. You'll wonder if it's worth it. You'll stare at the ceiling some nights, feeling like the world forgot you. But that's where transformation begins, in the quiet heartbreak of persistence. The top 1%, they've all been there. They've known the nights of doubt, the silence of struggle, the tears that no one ever saw. But they never quit. They refused to quit, because quitting would have betrayed the version of themselves they were fighting to become. See, the world only applauds the outcome, the trophies, the numbers, the fame. But greatness is built in private. It's born in the discipline of ordinary days stacked on top of each other until they become extraordinary. The 1% know the secret. You don't find purpose, you build it. You don't wait for motivation, you manufacture it. You don't hope for change, you become the change. And one day, after years of silence, the world finally notices. They call it overnight success, but you'll know better. You'll know it came from every hour no one saw, every no you turned into fuel, every moment you showed up when quitting felt easier. And in that moment, when the light finally hits you, when the world finally applauds, you'll smile quietly, because you'll realize the applause was never the goal. The goal was the person you had to become to earn it. That's the real reward. Not the money, not the fame, the becoming. The 1% understand this. Success isn't what you achieve, it's who you become in the process. It's the humility to begin, the courage to persist, and the faith to endure the seasons of silence. You see, silence is not the absence of progress, it's the presence of preparation. Every seed grows in darkness before it breaks the surface. Every legend begins in obscurity before they're remembered in light. That's the rhythm of life. That's the law of growth. So if you're in the dark right now, if you feel unseen, unappreciated, unnoticed, don't curse it. Embrace it. You're not buried, you're planted. And when the time is right, the world will see what was growing underneath all along. But you have to keep watering the seed. You have to keep showing up, even when your heart is tired, even when the world feels deaf to your effort. Because one day, the quiet will end. And when it does, your name will echo. Not because you shouted louder, but because your consistency became undeniable. Every empire was once invisible. Every master was once an amateur. Every impossible dream was once a whisper in the dark. And those whispers, they belong to the ones who didn't stop believing. So if you feel unseen, remember this. The greatest stories always start in silence, because silence is where strength is born. The top 1% don't chase noise, they chase alignment. They move with intention. They work in rhythm with purpose. They understand that life is not about being busy, it's about being effective. And effectiveness comes from clarity, from knowing exactly who you are and why you're doing it. When everyone else runs faster, they move deeper. When everyone else wants more, they want meaning. Because they've learned that success without peace is just another form of poverty. So they protect their mind, they guard their energy, they master their inner world before they ever try to master the outer one. And that's why they win, consistently, quietly, gracefully. Because the calm mind always beats the chaotic one. When the storm hits, they don't panic. They breathe, they observe, they adapt. While everyone else fights for control, they flow with purpose. That's the difference between the top 1% and everyone else. It's not that they have fewer problems, it's that they've built the emotional muscle to stay calm through them. And that calm, that stillness, is what keeps them climbing long after the crowd has given up. Because success isn't a sprint, it's a lifetime of sprints and recoveries. And the 1%, they've learned to love both. They've learned that pain is temporary, but pride in who you've become lasts forever. They've learned that real wealth is peace of mind, discipline of spirit, and mastery of self. That's the final evolution. Not fame, not fortune. Freedom. Freedom to live on your own terms, to wake up with purpose, to look in the mirror and finally say, I kept the promise. Because that's what greatness really is, a promise kept to yourself. So if you're listening to this right now, this is your call, not to chase success, but to become it. To live as if the world owes you nothing, because it doesn't. But you owe it to yourself to see how far you can really go. So rise. Rise in silence. Rise in struggle. Rise when no one's watching. And one day, the world will look at you and call it destiny. But you'll know the truth. It wasn't destiny. It was discipline.